The questions that we're going to go through. It talks about some of the issues that small businesses experience. We're then going to talk about that and then also provide you with the ability to do Q&A at the end to ask us questions that you may find interesting or things maybe we didn't even talk about that may be affecting or you think may affect your business. So with no further ado, I'm going to pass this on to allow each one of you to introduce. Oh, actually you have a mic. If you can just introduce yourself and your company, what you guys do, and then just pass it down on that, please.
Yep, Fernendo Machado, Managing Principal and CISO for CyberSec Investments. I am a certified CMMC assessor, and we are an authorized CMMC third-party assessment organization. So if you work in the Department of Defense space with controlled and classified information, we would be the folks that would come assess you in the near future.
Hi, my name is Mathew Biby. I'm the Chief Information Security Officer for Satcom Direct. We're here a local company for 20 plus years, specializing in satellite communication for business aviation and land mobile.
Hello, Cordell, Rolle IT. I'm the guy trying to walk close to you and scan all your wallets while you're vibing. It's really that easy sometimes. But yes, Rolle IT, we are a DevSecOps shop. We do everything from the software development to cybersecurity to making sure your IT operations is running efficiently.
Hi, good morning. Alec from Alliance Cyber. U.S. Air Force retired, 28 years cybersecurity background, which was the foundation for our company. Alliance Cyber is cybersecurity compliance and managed security services to help keep the bad guys on that side of the fence and not on your side.
Awesome, thanks guys, appreciate that. All right, so let's just get into it. The first question we're going to talk about is, or the first subject area is just general cybersecurity. And what I'd like to do is just ask you the question, that we can just come discuss it, and then we'll go on to the next one. So the second question will be Matt, third will be Cordell, and we'll just keep on going that way. All right, so the first question we have is, what are the most common cybersecurity threats that small and medium-sized businesses face today?
Yeah, so one of the most common threats that we see is ransomware. As crazy as it is, ransomware continues to plague small businesses, and it's very avoidable too. Like if you're doing things like patching, encrypting, ransomware is almost non-existent, making sure that your users are trained, not clicking on things they're not supposed to click on. And I always say patching is probably one of the biggest things that's out there. I can't tell you how many times I've seen small contractors have a Google Chrome browser that says update me, and it's like you won't let me live, but you won't let me die. Like just update the thing already. And yeah, so that's probably one of the biggest things is ransomware that I've seen with small businesses.
Thank you. Matt?
Yeah, I think that is true. I think it grabs the headlines, right? There's a reason why that is popular these days, because it's gives threat actors or people who wish to do harm a quick way to make money. I would just really reiterate what Fernando said. It's really critical just to make sure that whatever pieces of technology that you do use, that you make sure you keep those things updated. And then secondly, for those of you that have any kind of IT type of infrastructure, that you make sure that you have good backups of those systems.
Yeah, absolutely. Something we find with a lot of businesses, and some even here are probably guilty of it, is clicking that, click here email that you see like, hey, I need you to go buy me 20 gift cards right now. Your boss is never going to tell you to go buy 20 gift cards. But it happens a lot, right? So as Fernando said, it's got to be the training. You have to be there. And for ransomware attacks, they're attacking small businesses because the FBI, the police aren't going to go after you. Right? They're not going anything over 50,000. So if I hold you up for 10,000 for a few days, you're going to pay that pretty quickly. And even I think we're getting into insurance questions, so I won't go that far. But you need to think about it.
Exactly what everybody here said. Business email compromise. Even so we've all seen the email account that comes from the boss but has a .cn China extension. We know that's not the boss. But every once in a while, you may get that email that is from CEO@yourcompany.com. They could be in your systems. 57% of these malware attacks are going after small and medium businesses for exactly what Cordell said. You're easy. It's simple. The rate of return for them is just measured in how many pennies they can squeeze. They don't care if they can get $1 million out of Satcom Direct. If they can get 10,000 out of you, it's already been a great day for them. And Satcom's not gonna let you in, by the way.
All right, so Matt, we'll start with you this time. So the second question that we have is, can you share some recent examples of cybersecurity breaches in small businesses and the lessons learned from those incidents?
Yeah, I mean, to his point, we have a customer of ours, because we're also in the data center services business, who had that very scenario happen where somebody within their company clicked on an email, and eventually what happened, it allowed the bad actor, right, to have access to that email, and they just sat there and they watched email go throughout the business. And then after a period of time, they started to inject themselves in those threads and in those conversations, and specifically around banking and routing, and started sending emails as that employee to some of their contractors and other organizations they do business with asking them to change banking and routing information. And it wasn't until actually some of that came into our business that we actually recognized it. We told that customer, hey, there is something not good going on within your company. We think you have a compromised account within your company. And then they had to go through the process of resolving that and dealing with it. So it's real. At the same time, it's not anything to be scared of. There are very good practices that we'll probably be talking about today to help address and combat those types of situations. But it is a very real thing, especially no matter what size company you are. Right?
Absolutely. Something we see a lot, and especially with small businesses, is when you're a one-person shop, a five-person shop, what happens a lot is you're blending your personal life with your business, right? You still want to get your Gmail, you still want to be in and out, and that is a huge problem. What we see is it's easy to attack the executives, right? We're the ones who say, I can send an email from here, I can do this when I say, you have to separate your business and understand, even if you're a one-person shop, that needs to be locked down. You don't need to be integrating anything with your personal AOL, with your Gmail as, I'll just log in from here, I can get access. You don't want that. That's when you're inviting other issues into your system.
And to go back and reiterate the small, medium-sized business aspect, Jack's Beach, the government of Jack's Beach was recently shut down last month for several weeks because somebody got into their systems and hit them with ransomware. And so they were frozen. Small city governments, that's paralyzing for the citizens in those particular areas. Another great local example is the Florida Pediatric Association just last month. 1,100 minors' patients' records were stolen. And so it's great to have your own records stolen. If you try to steal my identity, you'll probably find 15 versions of me, but you're not going to get a credit card in my name because my social security number's already been flagged. But what about your child's social security number, which has never applied for credit anywhere, and is probably the most pristine and perfect opportunity to open up several accounts and permanently damage the credit reputation of your children. So those attacks are meaningful. And we could think, oh, that doctor's office probably didn't do what they were supposed to. But now, potentially 1,100 children may be permanently affected when they go to apply for credit when they're of age.
Definitely. And so in August, the Palm Bay Chamber Luncheon, I'll be doing a presentation on business email compromise. To Matt's point, local company, same process, $800,000 out the window. That could break a company, right? So, very, very scary. Thank you. All right, Cordell, what basic cybersecurity measures should every small business implement to protect their data and systems?
I think the easiest thing that everyone should know about right away is there has to be a multi-factor authentication put into your system. Whether, you've probably seen it for your bank, you need it for your Office 365. And yes, you need it to log you out every 15 minutes if you're not touching it. That's the easiest way for people to get in is you're not managing your sessions. That's when you have the browser open, you just left it. I know you hate logging in 20 times, right? Who likes logging in? Who likes all those passwords? You have to, right? You have to be able to separate that. You have to validate who you are, whether it's going to be Your phone number is your secondary, an email that's going there. But passwords, regularly, pretty easy to break. Most people use the same passwords. The same 4 top passwords are today than when I was in school, years ago. So, I know I'm still young, I'm saying it like that. I feel it today though. But really, yeah, that's step 1, just easy as that. Not with all the extra technology. If you can do that, that is getting you half the way there off the bat, right? So no one's getting access.
Exactly, and so I've been poking at the small, medium-sized business aspect because I think we're small businesses, with maybe the exception of Satcom Direct. They're doing really well for themselves. I don't know if I'd count them as small. But for the rest of us in this room, we are those small, medium-sized businesses, and our technology budgets are limited by other factors within our organization. But there's a lot of things you can do that are free or at low cost, and one of them is what you're doing today. All right, that's awareness and training. You absolutely need to keep an awareness of what's going on in this environment because the bad guys get smarter every single day. Even us up here on this panel are learning new things every day. We're watching the news wires. We're watching the latest attack vectors. We're trying to understand how they're getting at us, and they don't take days off. It's fun for them to poke holes in our environments. And so keeping up with what's going on in your environment and attending awareness and training sessions, having awareness programs within your organizations doesn't cost a lot, and really you've got to do HR training and financial training, and all the cybersecurity training should be right up there with the rest of them.
Yeah. Actually, I'll add something to that. So there's a lot of things I think for small and medium-sized businesses to do that have a tremendous impact that are not even technology related. So like the examples that we talked about with companies, rerouting banking information, right? 800 grand or 10 grand is out the door. If you have good internal business process in terms of what does it take to add a new banking or routing within your own company, a business process that, hey, Joe, Mary, Sally, if they get this email, they have to go check with somebody else before they go do what that email tells them to do. Those are like very low cost, non-technical things that can help, right, in those particular instances. So.
Great point. Yep.
And then to reiterate what Alec said on awareness and training, one of the biggest threats is insider threat, right? These folks already have access to a lot of your systems and a lot of your sensitive information. So if you don't have the right processes in place and being able to identify things like, does this person have gambling debt? Is this person constantly, out late at night? Is he staying late over hours? Did he all of a sudden show up at a $40,000 job with a Ferrari, right? These are things that you have to start really thinking about. But insider threat, I think, is one of the biggest problems that we have in small businesses as well.
Thanks, guys. All right, Alec. So we're moving on to cybersecurity strategy and planning. What are your thoughts on how can small businesses develop an effective cybersecurity strategy without a large budget?
Right, and so budget, being a small business owner, I can appreciate budgets. I'm not good at them, but I understand the importance of making sure that we're fiscally sound. Now, in your environment, you've probably got a lot of things that are important to your organization, right? Intellectual property, production lines, equipment, your personnel, absolutely. But your crown jewels of your organization is going to be your data. So one of the most cost-effective things that small businesses can do is identify what is your most critical data and where does it live. If it happens to be your customer CRM and it's in the cloud, how is that being maintained and backed up? If it's your financial data, where is that being housed? If you're keeping your intellectual property on local servers, some external drive or some small machine you've got somewhere, and that's still running, Windows Server 2012, is that your most critical aspect? I picked that example because I have a client who I walked on their site and they said, "Hey, here's our server," and it just made me cry because they had folders in there marked from 2003, and they had pretty serious data retention requirements, and so they've been keeping all their data. Perfect. I'm glad you're complying with law. This thing is about to die. And are you going to have a business tomorrow when that's the most vulnerable piece of your organization. So identify your most critical data, protect only that if that's all you can afford. Make sure that you can come back into work tomorrow if today happens to be that bad day.
That's great, that's great. I think you need to focus on, like you said, the most important things first. Your cyber strategy should match your business strategy. So if I'm in finance, I want to make sure that I'm following all those rules and regulations that I can't. I'm not going after, something like CMMC. I don't need that. It might be super cool. It might be the most secure I can be. But my grooming dog business doesn't necessarily need that. So match what you're going for, first of all, with your business. And secondly, it's so easy for you to sit down and focus on what you want to do for your business. And your cybersecurity is going to fall from you as leadership straight down from there. It is not having to go buy the fanciest tools. When it comes to tools, it's just for ease, right? You can do almost everything with you focusing in on and putting small pieces in place through your regular 365 to protect yourself versus buying the coolest and neatest tool. Those things are great and neat. They save time. You can run your business and have that. But if it's just you going there, you just need to focus on a few things and start there.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely would agree with both. I think from a business perspective, again, you can hire companies who specialize in this. You can have all the latest tools, right, from a security perspective. But fundamentally, good sound business processes get you probably more than 50% of the way. I think just from a pragmatic perspective, for those of you that have limited budgets, maybe or limited IT teams, one of my kind of favorite, we call them frameworks, is the Australian Essential 8. And Australia, basically what it is they developed a cybersecurity framework for small, medium businesses in Australia that just really stress 8 key critical things. Some of them that we talked about today, multi-factor authentication, making sure you're updating systems, making sure you understand and know your most important resources and where your data is at. But I would highly recommend that, even though we're here in the US, right, it is a very pragmatic, very easy to understand. So if you go Google Australian Essential 8, they have guides on how to implement that stuff. You don't have to be overly technical, and definitely would recommend something like that.
Yeah, piggybacking off what Alec was saying earlier, protecting your crown jewels, right? That's one of the reasons why you're in business. And we always like to take, I'm sure he's heard this 1,000 times, the defense in depth approach, right? So think of your data living in the middle of a castle, right? So the first thing you want to do is protect it, and you want to create several layers to protect that data. So first thing you would do is obviously, right, encrypt that data so that if it does get compromised, that the bad guys don't have access to it. Then you move out to administrative policies and procedures, making sure there's checks and balances in place. Then you have your physical security. Are you allowing people in and out of your business unescorted? You have no idea who you're dealing with, right? Into your business. Then you have your moat. Your moat's going to be your probably firewall, allowing certain traffic in and out, and then you would just continue to keep building out from there and just create those different layers to protect your business.
Thank you. So we're going to skip a little bit here. I'm going to move on to incident response and recovery, because I think we've talked about some of the securing aspects, but what happens when you get hacked, right? What should you have in place? What should you do? And Fernando, I'll start with you. What steps should a small business take immediately following a cybersecurity breach?
Yeah, so the first thing that you should have in place, hopefully, is an incident response plan, right? Where you prepare, for the potential of an incident. You go through tabletop exercises. All of this stuff is free, guys. You can go online and you can download these guides for free on how to prepare you for an incident response. Biggest thing too, when it comes to an incident response, like your biggest thing is your crown jewels, your data, right? Where did you back your data up to? Did you back it up? Are you doing full backups? Are you doing incremental backups? Are you doing differential backups, meaning anything that changes? And I've seen this a lot. I don't know how many times I've seen people back up data into the same geographic location where they're at. So what they'll do is they'll back up the data at the servers at their office and their boss lives 2 miles away and then backs it up over there. But what happens if a Hurricane Andrew comes through again? Now you've wiped out all your data completely. It's always good to keep that data in a separate environment and test recovering that data back in the event of an incident so that you have your crown jewels.
Yeah, I think one of the first things to what we talked about earlier is knowing the types of data that you have and knowing what your liabilities are for that data. So statutory, so laws, regulations, and customer contracts, because those three things really are gonna dictate how, at a very high level, macro level, what and how you're gonna respond. The second thing I would definitely recommend is that if that occurs, make sure you have a lawyer on retainer, right? Because of those three things, right? Because there's legal liabilities involved, it's really essential that you, ahead of time, have somebody that you can have counsel with that either specializes in this particular area or not, or has contacts who have specialization in this area. I think that's really critical and essential first part of any kind of response.
Absolutely. If anyone here is applying for any type of cybersecurity insurance, they are going to require you to have an incident response plan. It is one of the key things to keep your business going. Business continuity, same kind of thing. What are you going to do tomorrow if your system is hacked? Can you isolate your data like they're saying? Is it backup stored? Can we switch regions so you can keep running the next day? Major industries have been shut down for weeks, months, billions of dollars lost. Bimbo bakeries, twice last year. I don't know if they make all the bread. Thomas Bread, Sara Lee, all those different things. Twice last year they were hacked. Twice last year, and they had to go through major system upgrades, changing their tenant name, everything for the whole organization because how they were hacked. It is serious. You need to make sure that if something happens to your system, it's not just the hurricane, right? Like you're saying, you want to be segregated, or separated for your data in case something comes through. But keep that. I like to tell them we're a remote world right now. Can you pick up and move to Tallahassee next week, California? Can you run it? If you're brick and mortar, I understand that. But when it comes to the data, is it available where you need it? Not overseas. Don't send your data there. But
And a final element for incident response is understanding that not all of your data is yours. Your client data is theirs as well. So bad news doesn't get better with age. If you're compromised, you need to have the means and methods and messaging prepared to inform the stakeholders who share that data with you, because the risk that you've just experienced is now inherited by them. And then one last thing I want to leave you guys is a telephone number, 633-8410. That's the Brevard County Sheriff's Office Economic Crimes Division. All right, they handle cybercrime. So if you're on federal contracts, you absolutely have reporting requirements to the federal government. But if you're on other contracts or are beholden to some clauses in your insurance policies, you have reporting requirements to law enforcement there as well. Brevard County Sheriff does a very effective job of receiving and organizing cybercrime events. In fact, just for fun, anytime I get one of those emails saying from my employee saying update their bank account, please just give me your telephone number so I can contact you, I leave them 633-8410, and I let the bad guys go from there.
All right, thank you very much. So Mathew, I think you're up. I think that's a great way to get into compliance and legal considerations. What are key cybersecurity regulations that small businesses need to be aware of and comply with? Now, I know there's a separation here. Some are government contractors, some are commercial. Obviously, government contractors is a much deeper dive. Commercials, there's still regulations you have to abide by.
Yeah, I think it really depends, right, on what type of business you are. Do you cater, are you a local business that's only, a bakery, right? Versus a business that, a manufacturing business, right, that creates widgets that sells internationally, right? So knowing who your customers are, which you will know, right, really drives what your requirements are from a compliance perspective. So for us, we are a telecom, right? We are an ISP. We are a software company. We're a hardware company. We do business with commercial companies, with mom and pop companies, with the federal government, with foreign governments. And so all of those different customers have